Journey into the unknown with us as we explore the top 10 most mysterious ancient civilizations. From cryptic ruins to enigmatic artifacts, these lost worlds hold untold secrets that continue to intrigue and baffle. Unravel the mysteries of the past as we unlock the door to forgotten histories and vanished cultures. Join our quest to shed light on the shadows of antiquity and reveal the extraordinary secrets buried in time. Land of Punt. Egyptian records state the people of Punt had endured major trading expeditions with them, along with other African nations. They were said to have belonged to a rich land in the middle of Africa, but the catch to it all is that nobody actually knows where the land of Punt is. The only sources to even hint towards their existence were from ancient Egypt, so the likelihood that these stories were actually true may even just be a myth. To the ancients, Punt was a place of legend and fable, illustrated by Herodotus' account, in Book 2 of his history, 5th century BC, of the exploits of an Egyptian pharaoh, one Sesostris, who took a fleet of ships and made conquests along the shores of the Erythraean Sea, the Red Sea and adjacent waters. The Sea Peoples. Historical terrorists, if you may call them. The Sea Peoples raided the East Mediterranean for almost a century, primarily targeting the Egyptians. It is not known where they came from, all that is known is that they'd come in, attack, then sail off. The Sea Peoples were a confederacy of naval raiders who harried the coastal towns and cities of the Mediterranean region between circa 1276 to 1178 BCE, concentrating their efforts especially on Egypt. They are considered one of the major contributing causes to the Bronze Age collapse. Clovis. The Clovis people were spread across what is now North America, but very little is known about their history. What they're most associated with is their arrowheads, or Clovis points, which were found all across the continent. Despite their large expansion throughout North America, it's not known what happened to them that led to their disappearance. Nabta. The Nabta lived in the Nubian desert thousands of years ago, which would explain why they didn't leave much behind. What they're most known for is the stones they placed to track the movements of the stars, which was a ground mark for other civilizations to pick up when exploring the fields of astronomy. Easter Island. You know the Maui. But what do you know about the people? Well, aside from the famous heads on Easter Island, there's not much on their history. Easter Island is quite far away from other ancient civilizations, so those who found Easter Island likely didn't last very long as a civilization. Some say they quickly left, others say they destroyed their own lives. The Olmecs. The Olmecs were quite advanced in their culture, which can be seen in their development of one of the earliest writing systems in the world, and their art style, which included the sculpting of colossal heads. They occupied a similar area that the Mayans occupied, but vanished in a similar fashion that the Mayans did. It's not known how they could have been wiped out despite being such a large Mesoamerican civilization. The Olmec people are believed to have occupied a large part of modern-day southern Mexico. The Olmec civilization is what is known as an archaeological culture. This means there is a collection of artifacts thought by archaeologists to represent a particular society. Some writers claim that the Olmec civilization came into existence with the help of Chinese refugees, particularly at the end of the Shang dynasty. In 1975, Betty Meggers of the Smithsonian Institution argued that the Olmec civilization originated due to Shang Chinese influences around 1200 BC. The Sengxingdu. The Sengxingdu were settled in ancient China for about 500 years before being wiped out. What they're most known for is their bronze heads they created as a part of their culture. It is not known how they were wiped out, although studies suggest a major natural disaster diverted their supplies. Mystery has surrounded the fate of the societies that created the artifacts found at Sengxingdu. Evidence shows that at some point, they left the area and moved to the ancient city of Jinsha, near the modern city of Chengdu. Some scholars believe the move was caused by an earthquake 3,000 years ago. Excavations at Sengxingdu reveal the remains of a sophisticated culture who excelled in their bronze-making abilities. These cast bronzes were far larger and much stranger in appearance than anything seen in the ancient world before. Bell Beaker culture. Named for their distinct pottery they left behind, the Bell Beaker culture was widespread across regions such as modern-day Ireland, England, and Italy. They had a major involvement in trade with other civilizations, and were even said to have built the legendary Stonehenge. However, not much else is known about their culture. The origin of the Bell Beaker artifacts has been traced to the early 3rd millennium, with early examples of the maritime bell beaker design having been found at the Tagus estuary in Portugal, radiocarbon data to see. The 28th century BC. What did the Beaker people look like? The DNA also shows that the Beaker folk would have had generally different pigmentation than of the population they replaced, who had olive brown skin, dark hair and brown eyes. Mayans. They are actually still around. There are over 1.4 million people of Mayan descent, most of whom live in Mexico and Guatemala. According to widespread consensus, the Mayan civilization began approximately 2000 BCE and persisted until the arrival of the Spanish in the 16th century CE. The Classic Era, which spanned around 250 CE to 900 CE, saw the civilization at its pinnacle. Some argue that the pre-Columbian culture developed virtually on its own and free of influence, others believe it was a direct offshoot from the older Olmec civilization, a group that emerged about 3,600 years ago in what's now the southern Gulf region of Mexico. The ancient Mayans developed the science of astronomy, calendar systems, and hieroglyphic writing. They were also known for creating elaborate ceremonial architecture, such as pyramids, temples, palaces, and observatories. The Mayans lived there 4,000 years ago, about 2000 BC. At that date, complex societies were living in the Mayan region. The staple foods of the Maya diet were cultivated. Their food included maize, beans, squashes, and chili peppers. Indus Valley Civilization. This civilization laid down the foundation for others to follow, yet so little is still known about them. They thrived with Egypt and Mesopotamia and was one of the largest civilizations of its day. Unfortunately, they disappeared without a trace. Some say it was due to climate change, but we'll never really know. In addition to the lack of war, one of the lasting mysteries of the Indus civilization is the distinct lack of references to great leaders in the society. Finally, we haven't found a bilingual translation tool, like the Rosetta Stone, for the Indus script. There were no mummies, no emperors, and no violent wars or bloody battles in their territory. Remarkably, the lack of all these is what makes the Indus Valley Civilization so exciting and unique. The Indus Valley Civilization was larger than the ancient Egyptian civilization. At its peak, 10% of the world's total population lived in the ancient civilization of the Indus Valley.